Good early morning, everybody. It's Friday, September 6th, 2024. And I was going to read this earlier today, but of course the criminals put me to sleep with frequencies, which they like to do. They steal my time. They always have an agenda to keep me asleep or interfering with the flow of work. And then they steal an hour of my day, sometimes even longer. I'm sure this happens to you too sometimes, but this is their thing with me. It's been since New Jersey. But I wanted to read a book, a portion of a book. It's called Stopping a Stalker, A Cop's Guide to Making the System. I can't read what it says under here. Let me see. Cop's Guide to Making the System Work for You by Robert Snow, S-N-O-W. And I wasn't sure what chapter I was going to read, so I just opened the book, and it just happened to open to chapter 8, Cause Stalking. Now, you can't make this stuff up. So here we go. Please remember to hit the thumbs up. It helps the channel grow, get the message out there. When people fervently and absolutely believe in a cause, they will many times go to great lengths to prove it. History is replete with examples of individuals and groups who have been willing to go through these great lengths, even willing to die or kill for a cause, particularly when they believe their cause is morally or religiously just. In recent years, a number of groups and individuals, in an effort to promote and further their cause, have begun to use stalking to intimidate their opposition. In one of America's most volatile causes during the last decade, abortion, often members of the same family hold opposing views as to whether it's right or wrong and whether they should be allowed in certain cases or stopped totally. I have seen this division in my own family. Before going on, therefore, I want to say that nothing in this chapter is meant to intend or imply in any cause one side is right or the other side is wrong. That is not my intention. Readers should not assume that this chapter is taking one side or the other in the abortion question or in any political, moral, or religious question. Instead, this chapter will only consider how stalking is often used by those promoting a cause, as demonstrated in the following incident. Wichita, Kansas family planning had been the site of virulent abortion protests for some time. The protests had become so intense that one of the doctors working there had taken to wearing a mask when traveling to and from the clinic to avoid being identified by the protesters. His employer doesn't want it known that he performs these surgeries, said Raymond Sharon, leader of the group named Goodarchy, which led the protests in Wichita, boasting that his group had tactics for learning identities that would make the CIA look like amateurs. Sharon added, "We exposed him. We would be happy if we would just promise never to do this again. If the doctor didn't see things Goodarchy's way," Sharon told reporters, "steps would be taken to make his life miserable." The group reportedly sent a letter to the doctor showing how much it had learned about him. The letter included the doctor's address, birthplace, real estate holdings, and his girlfriend's name. "You have forsaken the healing arts for that of a circuit rider vampire preying on innocent women and children," the letter said. "You cannot smoke enough Benson and Hedges menthol or drink enough Budweiser to endure the local and national exposure that awaits you." So now this is obviously a threat. The group, Goodarchy, enclosed in the letter a photograph that they had taken of the doctor standing in the yard of his house. Okay, so this is obvious stalking and intimidation, harassment. These are the true domestic terrorists, right? In addition, anti-abort, I don't know if the word's allowed here, activists placed a sign in the doctor's front yard identifying him as a baby unaliving. And then they passed out flyers about him throughout the neighborhood. Soon after this, Wichita family planning began receiving unaliving threats against the doctor. "It sounds criminal," the district attorney Nola Folsom. I certainly support the right of all those individuals to peacefully protest, but when individuals consider committing criminal acts or threaten or harass other people, it's beyond free speech and into criminal actions. However, the anti-unaliving of children activists didn't see it this way. What I did was in no way, shape, or form stalking, said one of the anti-unaliving children intelligence gatherers. Clinic operators, however, disagreed and became so concerned about the threats that they purchased a bulletproof vest for the doctor targeted by the group. They did this because in August '93, an activist unalived the doctor outside of the Wichita clinic. And in August of '93, the police arrested Rochelle Shannon of Grants Pass, Oregon, and charged her with shooting Dr. George Teller. Police said Shannon and Teller, as he sat in his car at the Wichita clinic, and then fled from the scene in a car driven by another person. Authorities later found that Shannon had been writing to a man who was being held by police in Florida for the unaliving of the doctor at the clinic there. I know you did the right thing, Shannon said in one of the letters to Florida prisoner. It was not unaliving. You shot an unaliver. It was more like an anti-unaliving. I believe in what you did and really want to help if possible. I wish I could trade places with you. The members of Godarchy, however, didn't agree with Shannon's feelings about taking action this drastic. Denise Billings of the group said of the shooting, I was absolutely shocked to hear that he'd been shot. I don't know how to respond to that except that pro-lifers I know are responsible people and they stand for the sanctity of life. On March 25, 1994, court convicted Shannon of attempted unaliving for her attack of Dr. Teller and also convicted her of aggravated assault because she had pointed a gun at the nurse. The judge sentenced Shannon to 11 years, which included 10 years in prison for the 2 charges above and 1 year in jail for contempt because Shannon refused to tell where she had obtained the gun. In October 94, federal grand juries in Sacramento, California and Portland, Oregon returned indictments against Shannon, charging her with 30 felony counts involving attacks on these clinics in California, Oregon, Nevada, and Idaho. The indictments accused Shannon of arson, interfering with commerce by force, and interstate travel in aid of racketeering. Although many of these activists who obviously believe fervently in their cause deny that their actions constitute stalking, actions that often include such things as protesting in front of the doctors' homes, publishing and displaying posters and leaflets about these doctors, following the doctors and their family, threatening the doctors with unfavorable publicity if they continue performing these unalivings. Courts across the country have disagreed. A number of these activists have been convicted of stalking. So this is what happens when you have a belief about somebody or something and you take it this far, you're going to get charged with a crime. In February of '94, a jury in Charleston, South Carolina, convicted an activist, Kathy Ryder, of stalking the Charleston Women's Medical Center director, Lorraine McGuire. Ryder reportedly encouraged people to rip off McGuire's daughter's arms so she would know how a fetus felt when it was unalived. She also allegedly told McGuire to wear a bulletproof vest because you might be next, referring to the unaliving of this doctor outside of Pensacola, Florida clinic. This is really, really disturbing. The court sentenced Ryder to 5 years on probation with a stipulation that she stay at least 500 feet away from McGuire. So that's like a restraining order. Okay, so this is just going on and on about this particular topic. So I'm just going to move on here. As anyone who follows the news knows that most anti-abortion activists totally believe and absolutely in the righteousness of their cause and feel they're only doing what might be done to stop them, to save lives of unborn children. To further this end, in Melbourne, Florida, these activists sponsored a boot camp for protesters. They reportedly taught the recruits how to jam telephone lines, trace license plate numbers of women coming into the clinics so they can send them hate mail, I'm just going to say, and how to harass the doctors at home and work. One activist even proposed following the doctors' wives to the hairdressers and standing outside with picket signs saying, "This hairdo is paid for by blood money." In 1995, Operation Rescue planned a new campaign against these doctors called No Place to Hide. This campaign planned to target these providers at any location that they could be found. In Melbourne, Florida, these activists went so far as to print up wanted posters against doctors who performed these surgeries, offering a $1,000 reward for information leading to his arrest or to the revocation of his medical license. I mean, these are really extreme, despicable acts, you know. The poster also listed the doctor's mother's address and telephone number, and the license plate numbers of two of the doctor's ex-girlfriends. The children of one of these ex-friends reported being taunted by activists at a school bus stop. And although most activists will deny that their actions are stalking, unfortunately, as cases above demonstrate, their behavior often fits the description of the laws against stalking. Okay, I'm going to just scroll down here a little bit to get to some more meaty stuff.